Welcome, friends. You're on the hook with Brittney Novalsky. Welcome, Brittney. Thanks very much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, no problem. Just like to start off, Brittney, with the first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get involved in fishing?
Sure. I've been fishing pretty much my whole life. Growing up, my dad was a commercial fisherman in the 80s, back when, one man team could still provide for his family. But I grew up, as early as I could hold a fishing pole, I was out there on the boat with my dad. He taught me how to cast net, how to clam and catch lobster. And that was really our way of life. We caught fish for our household, and we would trade fish for dinners or gas money for our boat.
Hmm.
So it was a way of life for our family. And
Yeah.
I've just continued it on as I grew up. And, it's just something I've always been around. And I can't imagine not being near water and near our wonderful resources that we have here in Florida.
Hmm. So you're from Florida, Brittney. What part of Florida are you from?
I am from Sebastian, Florida. It's on
Hmm.
the east coast of the state, and we have a beautiful inlet called the Sebastian Inlet.
Hmm.
That's where we spent most of our time growing up, and I'll still visit quite frequently. But anywhere along the East Coast, I'll travel to and fish. And I try to get to the west side of Florida. It's just a longer drive to get across the state.
Hmm. So what are you predominantly fishing for out there, Brittney?
I fish more inshore. I will go offshore for tournaments,
Hmm.
but I'm more of an inshore kind of person. It's you save a lot with gas, or if you go kayak fishing,
Hmm.
it's a lot more green and economical to do that way. But I'll fish inshore for redfish,
Hmm.
snook.
Hmm.
We have a lot of flounder here that are great, and a lot of trout.
Mm. Love the trout. I'm a trout fisherman.
Yeah, they are one of the most trickiest fish to catch. They're one of the most intelligent fish I think that are out there to catch, at least down here in Florida anyways. They're
Hmm.
very particular about the bait.
I think that's a worldwide thing, Brittany. They're smart. They're not as stupid as humans think they are.
Right.
So that's awesome. I really appreciate your little bit of background information on that, Brittany. Let's talk about kids hooked on fishing, not on drugs. What a fantastic cause. I wanna learn a little bit about that. What is kids hooked on fishing, not on drugs all about?
Well, the program was started by a young man who was a teenager at the time. His name is Matthew Deakins. He was only 14. He wrote a letter into the Future Fisherman Foundation, who ended up, starting the program kind of in his name because
Hmm.
he had written in that he had avoided drugs and trouble by getting out there and fishing. And I think that really rang home to a lot of people. And they started the program through the Future Fisherman Foundation. And the program is countrywide. It goes through a lot of different states. Most of the states are, along the coast, but there are a
Hmm.
few inland states that do run the program also. And the program is more than just fishing. It's about building self-esteem, working in groups together, problem solving,
Hmm.
and just learning how to appreciate nature that's out there and get more involved with the outdoors versus video games and getting bored and not having other things to do.
Well, that's awesome, Brittany. I know I have two kids myself, and my oldest boy, he loves his video games, eh? But on the weekends, I sure try to take him and get him outside, get him, involved in the outdoors, bring him with me in my boat down the river with me. So I really think that that's very important for young kids to learn. There's more to life than video games and, hanging around the house and getting into trouble, right? So I
Right.
really,
And to children too. I mean, they're our future conservationists, and our resources, since I was born, I mean, things have just kind of gone hill. And I think if anything could come out of the program, just learning how to be a good conservationist is, if that's all we could get out of the program for the kids, I would be completely satisfied.
yeah, no, that's important to mention too, Brittany. It's important to know that there are rules and regulations to follow when we fish, right?
Yes.
I know in my province here in Alberta, we fish barbless hooks. We can use treble hooks, but in the province next to us, you can't use treble hooks. You can only use single barbless hooks.
Mhm.
Being ethical, only taking home what you need, so on and so forth. Teaching kids that at a young age helps ensure our resources are there for many generations to come, and that's very important for me.
Right. In the program, we really promote catch and release. And, there are certain fish out there that are in abundance that you shouldn't have a problem being able to take home. But for the
Hmm.
program, we definitely encourage catch and release, especially until the children are more familiar with what the regulations are.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of the reason, why we can get involved with this program and teach our kids exactly what the rules and regulations are, right?
Mhm.
So when did the program get started, Brittney?
The program itself started back in 1986, but I mean, we got involved with the program this year,
Hmm.
and that kind of went side by side with the fishing company that I started. As soon as I went more into the professional side of fishing, so many avenues opened up for me that I got to learn about that involved how kids were getting involved with fishing.
Hmm.
And I went through our state to get certified as an instructor for the program, and you can also, get certified wherever you live through the Future Fisherman Foundation. They offer certain locations where they will go and offer the class so you can get certified yourself. It's a 2-day program.
Oh, perfect. So is that limited to the United States of America, or can we do that here in Canada as well?
I don't see why it shouldn't be allowed in Canada. It's something that I haven't looked into, but
Hmm.
I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed as long as you're following the curriculum and that there was somebody there
Hmm.
that is available to teach the class so the instructors could get certified.
Right. Well, maybe that's something I can look into and find out and pass that on to, my readers, my followers, and get the message out that we can do this in Canada too. It could be a worldwide thing, right?
Right. And you can always start your own program as well. It doesn't have to be Kids Hooked on Fishing, Not
Hmm.
Drugs.
Hmm.
I think as long as you're following the guidelines in the area that you live in, you're being safe, obviously, with the children, and you're teaching them the values that they need to learn to respect our waters and resources. I don't see why you couldn't start your own program with the schools or local community clubs.
Hmm. Well, maybe that's my next challenge, Brittany. Let's
I
get
will
this.
definitely be available to help you in any way that I can.
Oh, that's very awesome. I really appreciate that. So I guess that brings me to, my next question. Uh, you know, Getting involved in this program is I believe is critical to our children. Um, that's one thing I'll have to look into is how can we as Canadians get involved in this program, and how can we spread this message to other Canadians as well to get educated. Obviously, first we need to get educated on how the program works, what we need to do as adults to pass on this information to our children.
Right.
Excuse me. And then I guess the next step is actually getting a bunch of kids out into the water, right? How challenging is that to get a group of children fishing
We
and
actually try
concentrating?
it can be challenging
Mm,
because we've met children who have never even caught a fish before, let alone handle a hook and a fishing line.
mm-hmm.
So it can definitely be a challenge.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that the first place to start is in a classroom
Mm-hmm.
or at least in like a community center or something similar where you can get the children indoors first. Don't start out on the water and they have no idea what to do. So I think the best idea would be to start indoors, which is what we try to do, and just kind of go over the basics. We pretty much pass on the information that we were taught to become instructors, but more at a level for that a child can understand
Mm-hmm.
so they can learn the basics about how to handle a hook. What do you do when you catch a fish? What do you do when your line gets tangled? And what do you do when you take off your tangled line and how to properly dispose of it?
Mm-hmm.
And just start from the basics and then gradually work your way out to like one big adventure day outside. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be in a big body of water. It could just be like a local lake or a pond that might have just some smaller fish in there, but that's the best way to start.
Yeah, smaller fish. At least that way. The kids are going to catch something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think as kids, kids can get so excited about the smallest things. So just to know that there's something tugging at the end of the line,
Mhm.
it just, their smiles and how excited they are. And I've seen them bring in like, 5 or 6 inch tiny little fish, and they're just like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So I think they're pretty happy catching anything that'll nip at the line.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think kids a lot of the times, they keep interested for a while, and then all of a sudden, if nothing's going on, they lose interest. And so my idea behind bringing kids to the lake or a pond or something, it could be right after the pond gets stocked with, say 2 or 3 thousand fish, and the fish are hungry, and you kind of time, you know, this program around when the fish get stocked. Like I know
Right.
myself, all the local places in the province that I live in, when these stocking programs take effect. So maybe a weekend before the lake or the pond or whatever gets stocked, you do your theory, say in the community center, wherever you do your theory, and you teach them about you know the hooks and different things like that, and how
Right.
to cast and all that other stuff. And then the next weekend, once you know that lake or pond's getting stocked, then you could possibly bring the kids out there and have a way better chance of catching a fish, right? So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we see that often when the kids, you can tell they might be getting bored or they're not really sure, like,
Mm-hmm.
I put my bait in there. Why isn't anything biting it? So
Mm-hmm.
and that's just another kind of way that you can integrate good lessons, like little mini lessons about being patient, not getting frustrated, understanding that even professional fisher men and women don't
Mm-hmm.
always catch the first on the first cast, that
Yeah.
it takes time. So, and I think it's good too to have guest speakers come in, not just yourself, like have other people come in, like maybe a professional fisherman in your area to come
Mm-hmm.
in and talk about how they got started. And that'll give them just another mentor to look up to, and know that they can continue to do this for the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's important to point out too. Having other people that are that know about the sport of fishing to come in and talk about that. I think that would be critical to the success of the person holding the event. Right? It's like
Right.
even myself, I'm a fishing guide here on the local river that I fish in, and sometimes for me to teach adults that is challenging. Right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So to be able to teach a kid that, it's like we have to be patient, and like you said, there's other lessons to be learned in there too, right? So,
Right.
and I think that some of those lessons could apply to other areas of their life, right? Oh, I remember what Brittney told me when we were fishing on the pond. It's not everything happens immediately. We have to wait for things, right?
Right, exactly. It's and also if the child gets involved for one day or a week of things, I like to think that at least what we're teaching them will kind of continue on for the rest of their life, or will apply to other aspects of their life too. So it's really important that we're not just pressing hooks and fishing line down their throat the whole
Mm-hmm.
time. It's just about getting involved and making new friends and learning how to interact with people that you just met and making new friendships,
Mm-hmm.
and getting excited about a new activity.
And being patient,
Exactly.
because fishing takes patience.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's very cool, Brittany. I really appreciate your time today and sitting and talking with us. I believe, we can all get involved in this one way or the other. Very great cause. Really appreciate your time.
Definitely. I encourage everybody out there, even if you're not a fisher person yourself, to go and check out the Future Fisherman Foundation website so you can learn a little bit more about the program and where it stemmed out from. And the curriculum's also available to look at if it's something that you're interested in integrating in your own program, or if you want to start a program yourself.
Awesome. We really appreciate your time, Brittany. Thanks very kindly.
Thank you for having me.